Christian's Tailgate Bar and Grill, voted Houston's best burger. Come by any of the 5 Houston area Christian's Tailgate locations and enjoy never frozen ground beef on a toasted bun with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, onions, and your choice of cheese. Your award-winning burger is then served with hand-cut fries or buttermilk battered onion rings. Each Tailgate location is a large selection of draft beer and $3 shots. Come early for the game and stay late for karaoke. Christian's Tailgate Bar and Grill with 5 Houston area locations.
With Houston Methodist Virtual Urgent Care, you can skip the drive and the waiting room and connect to our board-certified providers from your computer, tablet, or mobile phone. Virtual urgent care visits are available 24/7, no appointment needed, even on weekends and holidays. Now you can get the same trusted care you expect from Houston Methodist, wherever you are, whenever you need us.
To learn more, visit HoustonMethodist.org. Houston Methodist, leading medicine.
The following is a presentation of the Rice Sports Network. The Rice Sports Network. From Learfield IMG College. On the Rice Sports Network from Learfield IMG College, welcome to Rice Owls Insider. Rice Owls Insider is presented by Christian's Tailgate, voted best burger in Houston. Carbach Brewing Company, crafted for serious fun. IBEW Local Union number 716. And by Houston Methodist, leading medicine. Now, here's the voice of the Owls, J.P. Heath.
And welcome back to another edition of Rice Owls Insider. I am voice of your Rice Owls, J.P. Heath. And the next man needs no further introduction, but we'll do it anyway. It is soon-to-be third-year head coach of our Rice Owls football team, Mike Bloomgren. Coach, I miss you, man. How are you?
Gosh, I'm doing good, JP. Certainly had a great time with the family yesterday, hanging out for Easter, and we got dressed up just like we were going to church, and just didn't. Watched it on the couch, and then still ate a great lunch and had a great day as a family.
By the way, late shout out there to Christian's Tailgate. They're sponsoring our edition of Rice Owls Insider with Coach Bloomgren. But yeah, that's the perfect place to start outside of the great Easter holiday. But how are you, the staff, the family, the team holding up right now with 129 other FBS coaches and Division 2, 3, and a lot of people are in the same boat. So, but how are you, the staff, and the family doing right now?
Yeah, I think everybody's doing well, and I look at it across the board, and I start with the kids, and it was a little touch and go there for the first week and a half of distance learning and getting them acclimated back into their homes. Some of their parents had downsized and they didn't have bedrooms and things like that just are real world things. They didn't expect their kid to come home and live with them for the rest of the semester. And then some of our kids, we had to make sure the nutrition component was going to be okay. And now that I feel good about that part, and they've got good enough Wi-Fi and good enough technology to learn in these classes and still be part of our team meetings and our football meetings, I'm in a good place. I'm spend probably too much of my days worrying about things I can't control with this virus. But when I start with our team and how we can take care of the players and the staff, I'm at a place where I'm pretty comfortable right now with what we've done for them and how we're working for them every day. I told them from the first team meeting on, my primary focus in all this, my biggest care in the world is their health and their family's health. And so, again, so far so good with that in terms of keeping our kids safe. We've had a couple times where the virus touched some of our families, some of our extended Rice families, and we've worked through those as well.
Yeah, how is that with Coach Straub and the strength training staff to work out 100 or so guys in different areas of the country, a lot of them in Texas, a lot of them around our area, but what is that process like, trying to get everybody on the same page when you can't have that face-to-face interaction?
Yeah, Coach Straub is more of a black and white kind of guy. Like, he likes to say, these are the numbers, this is how you do it. And that's something that we built our program on, is that discipline of, hey, this is the way you do it. Well, right now there's not a whole lot of black and white because there's really not many weight rooms open in America. And so a lot of what we're doing is body weight exercises and grabbing soup cans in some cases, milk jugs in others, and just finding a way to get the resistance we need. Some of our kids have been really creative. They've gone to Lowe's or Home Depot and bought wood and built their own gym and a place to put weights. And that's great when they're able to do that and they have the resources to do that. But it's different in every instance. And it's also been different in how the NCAA has permitted us to guide them. It started off with, hey, you're allowed to do these Zoom workouts and basically be a part of it. And then a ruling came down that we're no longer allowed to do that. So everything Coach Straub's doing is having to be creative. And a lot of it is on the trust of our players. Some of our players are still doing these Zoom workouts and Zoom positional workouts. Those are a lot of fun. For us as coaches, like it wasn't fun for the coaches who did them. They were working their butts off just to keep up. But it was another touch and be eyeball to eyeball with our kids day in and day out, which means so much to us. Because I think at the end of the day, when I talk to the staff, the thing that's most commonly said is Dad, I miss the kids.
Mm-hmm. And nobody's a benefit of all this craziness, and we'll get more team-specific stuff in a little bit, but you at least got about, 8 of the 15, 7 of the 15 spring workouts in. So what was your account of how – okay, there you go.
9 of them in, JP, 9.
There you go. I can't short you any. So how did the first part of spring ball go?
Oh, it was excellent. It was so good because you saw our defense – returning 10 of 11 starters and looking like it most of the time, really starting to build into that bully that we all want him to be and that dominant force on the field. So I was really pleased with how our defense did. The other thing going into spring ball is we wanted to identify who our quarterbacks were going to be. And for the first time since we've been here, we had every quarterback that would be with us in the fall here for the spring. And that had tremendous value. And what we saw there at that position, because I know everybody's interested, is we saw Michael Collins and Giovanni really kind of take a step ahead of the others. And that's really impressive for a guy like Mike Collins, who hasn't ever been in a pro-style West Coast system, to come in from the pseudo air raid that TCU runs, learn the playbook enough to go out there and execute the way he did in the spring. I was so impressed with him. And he's got arm talent for days. We saw Giovanni start to be more consistent, play in and play out. I don't know what was said about this or not publicly, but we had one scrimmage. So we only got one of our 3 scrimmages in, but in that scrimmage, we made the quarterbacks live. And so you got to see them play football. And that's not something that's been customary throughout my career, not something I wanted to do, but I thought it was important for us to do. And so we really got to see those guys play good football. TJ came in and did a nice job trying to learn stuff. I think snowballed on him a little bit towards the end of spring, and that really allowed Wiley Green to become the number 3 and step in there. Even though he got limited reps in a lot of practices, he really secured at least that number 3 spot and put himself in a position to compete when we get to play football again.
And also got some great news earlier today, pre-interview, that you'll have an extra year of eligibility for a pretty big playmaking wide receiver, at least from his first year, huh?
Yeah, Bradley Rosner was able to get the 6th year granted by the NCAA. And, we couldn't be more excited to have Bradley not just going into the senior year. We all saw the production last year, jumping right into the scene and making big plays against whoever we played. So we're thrilled to death to have him for an extra year, and I got to share that news with him, and he seems very excited too. So that's a big deal for the Rice Owls.
Yeah, with everything that's going on, everything in flux, do you expect the transfer portal to be wide open, more narrow than it would be this time of year as you go into the summer, or does that all dictated on heck? We don't know what's happening in the next couple of weeks, much less the next couple of months.
Yeah, that's a great question, JP. I'm really interested to see how that does play out because I don't know. My crystal ball isn't working on that one. I think that we still have a couple more people to add to our football team, anywhere from 1 to 3 new ones. And we'll be excited about those guys. Once we get them into school and get a chance to announce them, I think they're people that can contribute and help us right away. At least they'll have an opportunity to compete for the jobs, their positions.
But you are coming up on a new recruiting period, a new phase. How unique does that have to be now? And is that kind of like you're as creative as they come and Alex Brown as creative as they come? That kind of adds a new wrinkle on how you have to be inventive during this weird time period that we're living in here.
Yeah, it is a weird time period. That's exactly how we would say it. So we've gone to making our junior day as virtual as possible. And so we're not allowed to have everybody on the same Zoom call or a FaceTime call when they're recruits because of publicity, even though if they were on our campus, it would of course be allowed. Everybody could know who was there and what have you. But on a call, it's just not permissible by the NCAA rules. So until we are able to get in front of the NCAA and let them know that these rules were made for normal situations and not COVID-19 pandemic, then we're going to have to just put it into places like a Dropbox and direct recruits there to watch it with their family. And it's towards the campus, tours of our building. It's interviews with our position coaches and our coordinators, getting to know our scheme and who our coaches are. And so it's what I think is the best we can do. It is being as creative as humanly possible. Alex is doing a phenomenal job running that department right now. And one thing we are doing is we are Zooming our butts off. Like, we are on Zoom with these kids. And, you know, what you find is that not only do you have more time to make calls than normal because, you know, you have time at your office, home office, whatever that looks like. And these kids have time to take your call. There's not the opportunity cost of going to play basketball or going to chase somebody around, some girl around trying to date her, right? Like, those things aren't happening right now. So we can get them on the phone more often, and we're building great relationships with them. And JP, I would like to go back to that as we talk about relationships. One of my goals for the spring for our football team was to get our coaches and players and player to players even closer, even tighter. And what you're seeing is I get a chance to jump on different Zoom calls and see these positional group meetings. Gosh, our kids love each other and they miss each other, and watching them cut up. And that's also, again, just this time, whether it's one-on-one time or spending more time on those calls together as a group, it's allowed our coaches to become more ingrained in these kids and really dive in. Gosh, all the things we've talked about culturally, getting to year 3. And that's one of our silver linings right now is how close we are getting as a team and a coaching staff to the kids.
Yeah, that's pretty eerie because we didn't exchange notes before this, but that segues perfectly. And we've been doing this a couple of years now, boss. But I was going to ask to wrap up this first segment, how have you and the staff tried to turn into what is a massive negative situation into a positive? Because you kind of answered it there with the bonding, the unity, the guys miss each other, but you're as optimistic as they come. How have you tried to spin this in the positive way?
You know, I think the best thing we do is reassure these kids, like, this too shall pass. Okay, so you better be working because we're going to play football again. Now, there's so many things bigger than ball. You and I both know this, and you know where I come from. But, we've got to do the right thing for the state of Texas, for our country, and for this global pandemic right now. But someday ball will be back. And when it's safe to play again, a recruit said this to me last week, JP, and I thought it was phenomenal. He said, what we do in the dark will come out in the light. And that's something I'm going to express to our kids in our team meeting, because more specifically, what we do in the darkness of this pandemic is going to come out under those lights whenever we get to play football again. So you better be working. And so there's a couple things like that. I think that's very important to say. The other thing that I've really, as you talk about silver linings, is just challenge these guys from a goal standpoint. We've done more with goal setting, more with time management, putting a calendar together for every hour of their day to make sure they're remaining productive, and checking in on them from a mental health standpoint. But, like, what are you going to do today to win the weight? Like, how do we win today? Like, this is a different one. There's no book for this. Like, let's go. Let's figure it out. And then let's put that plan into action. And so that's what we've been challenging them to do. And then, the other thing, I think when we turn on the news right now, there's so much negativity, from the numbers that seem overwhelming to right on down the line. So I've asked them every day, find something that you're grateful for. Like, find something, and let's say it out loud. Let's make sure that we're getting that little bit of positivity at least coming in our ears, if it's only from our own mouth, every day, and try to speak some of those things into reality. So again, keeping them working, keeping them goal oriented, and finding ways to win the weight is really what we've been doing.
You're firing me up, Coach. It's not even August or September here. All right, stay tuned. More with Coach Bloomgren coming up next here on Rice Owls Insider.
No one wants to fight the traffic to and from the stadium or arena. You don't have to when you go Win. Win Transportation. Enjoy the game, not fight the traffic. 5 people or 5,000. Win offers customizable group transportation with a wide range of motor coaches, minibuses, and vans, giving your trip an extra special touch. So when it's game time, remember, all you need is Win. Book at GoWin.com. GOWYNNE.com.
Hey, Papa John's here. Who wants a boring sandwich when you can have our new Papadillas at Papa John's? 4 exciting flavors, just $6 each. You're going to love it. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's, Houston.
The lights, the sounds, the cameras, the electricity. If you can feel it, hear it, see it, chances are an IBEW electrician built it. The members of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 716 built the things that make Rice University and Houston great. When your next construction project needs to be on time and on budget, it's time to hire IBEW electricians. Learn more at IBEW716.net.
Beer needs baseball and baseball needs beer. Good thing Little Woodrow's has plenty of both. Right in the heart of Rice Village, relax over indoor and outdoor games, sports, and drink specials that even college students can't refuse. With weekly trivias, bingo nights, and fun events, there's always something to do at your favorite local watering hole.
follow us on Facebook and Instagram to stay updated on all our upcoming events and specials. Little Woodrow's, the official Rice Owls game day headquarters.
At Smart Financial, we think your banking experience should feel like a home run. Since 1934, we have prided ourselves on providing hassle-free services with a game plan that focuses on people, not profits. If you live, work, or go to school at or around Rice University, text RICE to 276-278 to become a part of the winning team. That's RICE to 276-278. Smart Financial, proud sponsor of Rice Athletics, federally insured by the NCUA.
Welcome back to Rice Owls Insider and the voice of the Owls, J.P. Heath.
Welcome back on Rice Owls Insider. Let's give some love to Christian's Tailgate, that West U location. They're great, sponsoring a lot of things around Rice. Cheeseburgers, grilled shrimp salad, quesadillas, buffalo chicken wraps, fried pickles. You can take out available at the West U location, 832-925-7922. Thanks to Christian's Tailgate for bringing us this episode of Rice Owls Insider, back with more of head coach Mike Bloomgren. And kind of leading off with a heavier-ish question, but what's your best estimate? We referenced it in the first half, but if this extends later into the summer, and I talked with Joe a few weeks back, and obviously we don't know, which is frustrating, out of our control, but if this does extend later into the summer, God forbid the fall, what could happen to the season or a partial season? What do you think right now?
Yeah, JP, there's the health experts from that standpoint. Obviously, those people have a lot more knowledge of this than me, and it seems like even their stance changes from day to day right now. And I think that this is a very fluid time in terms of information, and things have to change. But going back to your question, it's something that our conference has proposed to us. Whenever this ends, what kind of runway do you need to play football? And I think that's a great question. I think we'd all love 6 weeks of some form of conditioning, then a 4-week training camp, and then diving right into our football season that's scheduled on September 5th, or for us, September 3rd. That's what we'd all love. Now, I think that's becoming increasingly less likely that we'll get that opportunity. And you see things like the NBA, who put together a plan last night for a 25-day back to basketball whenever this lifts and whenever they're able to get the green light. That's really not feasible for our sport. Now, we can shrink it down as much as we want, but the thing that I really worry most about is when you look at the NFL lockout of 2011, the soft tissue injuries and the big-time injuries in training camp that year were skyrocketed. They were at an all-time high, and I think the reasons for that were some people didn't condition the right way to play our game. And what's interesting about that is in 2011, those guys still had trainers and weight rooms available, and they were professional athletes, and they still had these issues. So I want to be very cognizant of that. When we are able to come back, me and Coach Straub will put together the best plan for our kids to get them in shape to play football before we ever do. So we think it's best if it's 6 weeks of conditioning, 4 weeks of training camp, play a game. If we're not able to do that, as long as the schedule is consistent and equitable across our conference, we'll make it work, whatever that looks like. We're really hopeful that, if we can't start on June 15th, maybe we can start on July 1, get those 4 weeks of conditioning, if that's all we can get, and then 4 weeks of training camp and rock. But we'll make it work.
As you always do. What inspired you and Laura to donate the meals to the medical workers? I thought that was a good, heartwarming thing. And I saw a couple, there might have been more, but just what inspired you to do that? Because they're doing so much during this time.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, JP. So first off, it was a great idea by Derek Mason. There's a group of us head coaches that work together at Stanford and have become really tight through the years. And that's David Shaw. And I actually worked with Dabo Sweeney. Dabo was the receiver coach at Alabama when I was a GA. And, these are the good guys in college football. And I love being around them. I love hearing them tell stories. I love hearing them talk about how they handle things within their teams. And so when Mace came to me and said, Bloom, I think we need to do more to help, and I think this is a way, I just dove in. Laura loved the idea. I love the idea. I think one thing that's lost right now is, the hardest thing I'm being asked to do is Zoom, right? Like that, I'm staying home and Zooming. And that's not the case for these healthcare workers on the front lines. They're asked to work double shifts. They're getting 0 days off. It's just a different world. And so, again, for any of us that complain for sitting on our butts, shame on us. And the more we can do to help the people on the front lines right now, we just want to do it.
There were some minor staff changes in the offseason. Sanders Davis is the new O-line coach. our guy Mono, Chris Monfiletto, very friend of the coaches shows in the past. He's now the tight ends coach, and Jerry Mack and Robbie Picasso switched position groups. So discuss what you like about those changes and some of the new names we know, what they can bring to your staff now.
Yeah, so the new people, number one, Sanders Davis and Chris Monfiletto, I've probably known for 10 years now. I had a chance to meet them at different clinics across America. Sanders is absolutely brilliant. Like, he's a guy that played at Dartmouth and was going to mid school, and then somehow decided that this game, he was too in love with this game to do that. This is what he wanted to do. He wanted to teach and he wanted to coach. And gosh, he's amazing. He is so next level smart, and he's really teaches and demands things in the right way. And he would fly to Las Vegas to hear me speak at a clinic when he was coaching high school ball in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He'd fly out to Stanford. I mean, he has been integrated in our system for a while and does a great job teaching it. Chris Monfiletto is also brilliant. Golly, I mean, that's always the goal, right, JP? We got to hire people that are smarter than us to make us look good. And that's absolutely what I did there from a young age. Chris was a head coach at Kenyon College for 7 years and did a fabulous job there. And I believe Chris could coach any position on offense. He can coach special teams. He can do anything. And when you're losing a guy like Billy Best, who's going to get an opportunity to coach at an FBS school and coach all 5 offensive linemen, which is his dream, you better replace him with somebody good, because he was loved by the tight ends in that room. And we did it with Chris Monfiletto. Mono's been excellent. He's been excellent at building those relationships. And gosh, what an unbelievable teacher. So I'm really pleased with those 2 new hires. Now you talk about the flip-flop, and it goes like this, like, hey, we were best last year when Jerry Mack was in the quarterback room full-time. And as Coach Mack is installing more of his RPOs, and I've asked him to really make sure that everybody sees the passing game through one set of eyes, and it's really an NFL style of install. Instead of him just being in those meetings for special teams, it was better to get him in there full-time. And so that's what we chose to do. We put him in that quarterback room, and it's absolutely nothing against Robbie Picasso. I think I've expressed how I feel about Robbie. I think he's a brilliant young coach. He was unbelievable to coach. I loved coaching him every day. Actually talked to Pep Hamilton yesterday, who was the head coach of the XFL Defenders, and we were talking about some of the changes in that league. But we ended up talking about Robbie again, just about how fun it was to coach Robbie and how smart he is. And this is something I believe Robbie needs. I think Robbie needs some growth right now in the coaching prevention or coaching, what would I say here? The coaching fraternity, the coaching opportunity to grow more is what I want for him. And our system, because he only played in this system and is only coached in it, there's a little academic inbreeding going on. And so I think getting him to see another vantage point from the running back room and be able to express to them all the things he knows about protection, all the things he knows about the quarterback's vantage point to help them on tracks of some of our read options, I think it can be so advantageous for us. So I think it's going to be unbelievable for our running back room. And right now he's getting a chance to have Drew Sabota in there, who is a master coach, really work with him in that running back room for the spring. And then once Robbie takes it over in the fall, it's just going to be beneficial for both groups, for the running backs as well as Robbie. So I couldn't be more excited. I think, again, the people that need to hear the voice of our coordinator and the quarterbacks are going to hear it from Coach Mack, and I think Robbie's just going to do great with that running back room.
Yeah, great segue. You mentioned some about the quarterbacks in that first segment, but with Mike Collins, the transfer, and Giovanni Johnson, you answered part of this earlier, kind of 1 and 1A for both of them. We saw Giovanni got tremendous experience towards the end of the year last year, but what does Mike do as he's acclimating to the system? And Giovanni, how has he grown from what you've been able to tell?
Yeah, I think that Mike is an elite quarterback. I think he's got elite arm talent, the ability to make every throw on the field. And the thing that Coach Patterson told me about him when we talked about Mike, when we were going through the recruiting process, is he said, look, he runs better than you think. Like, he's a better athlete than you think. And he does. He chews up grass. And he's really a solid quarterback with some good experience under his belt, and did a great job, again, operating a new system. For Giovanni, I did see him take some real steps. And I thought that was really good to see, because we saw him go in and start a game and go 8 for 9 in the first half last year against Marshall, then taken out for an injury. And then he comes back and did a great job running the ball against UTEP. And I thought that was great. But now you're seeing him be more of an every down quarterback again, executing things, and he is dangerous with the ball in his hand. We had a play in our scrimmage when we were live And Braylon Carroll, who we know is a freshman all-conference defensive lineman, we think he's got an unbelievably bright future. He had Giovanni dead in the rights. And then Giovanni did some Houdini stuff, and 40 yards later, he's getting tackled on the sideline down there. So that's what Giovanni can do for you with the ball in his hand. Both he and Mike Collins can do a great job extending plays and keeping their eyes downfield and making plays down the field with their arm, as well as tucking the ball and going to get a first down, which, I think I've mentioned to you before, Bill Walsh always said you need your quarterback to steal 2 first downs a game with his legs. Both of these guys can do it.
You mentioned the good news earlier with Rosner being granted that extra year of eligibility, which will help you out next offseason. But just other highlights. You lose some stuff at running back, but I know there's still some guys waiting their turn. So, and heck, you're an O-line guy. Lump the O-line in there. What's the rest of the offense look like coming back?
Yeah, so starting with the running back position, obviously you lost a ton of production there at that spot in losing Aston Walter and Charlie Booker and Deshaun Ellerby. That's a lot of the carries that went on for the Rice Owls last year. But when you look at it in totality, Juma was never really healthy last year. He tried to play towards the end and fought some things out for us. But we look back to the end of the 2018 campaign against Old Dominion when Juma broke off 224 yards in the game and how bright we thought his future was. Well, we have a healthy Juma right now, and he had such a good spring. I thought he did an awesome job. I thought Ari Broussard did some great things at the running back position, really knows it better than he ever has, and he's a bull when he has the ball in his hands. He's hard to bring down. He's going to make everything physical, and that was great. The highlight of the spring for the offense, not just at the running back position, was Cam Montgomery. Cameron did a great job of protecting the football, and on top of that, he made things efficient, and then you got to see his 10-4 speed numerous times and really have explosive plays running away from the defense. So that's what excited me about the running back position, those guys. And there's some more guys in there that, when healthy, Juwan King has shown some glimpses of brilliance, and we'd love to see him healthy to see what he can do. At the fullback spot, Brendan Suckley has just grown and grown and grown. We saw that last year, right? Playing a new position in training camp, still looked a little weird. Then Reggie gets hurt. Reagan Williams gets hurt, so he has to become our starting fullback. And, gosh, he grew every game last year into, like, that dominant force that we saw in the UTEP game in North Texas. And, gosh, he just continued this spring. He was so good. Tight end spot is led by Jordan Myers for us, our Swiss Army knife that can cut you with every blade. I still think I coined that phrase, so I want to make sure I get credit for that someday, JP. But I think Jordan can do everything. He really can. Jack Bradley is our Y tight end who does great things at the point. And then you have Robert French, who's our F tight end, who really can catch the ball and be a matchup in third down. But all those guys are blocking, and all those guys are doing a nice job being willing blockers. And I can't forget about Jager Bull, who plays the Y and the F for us and just does a nice job. He's become a more consistent version of himself. And I'm excited about Jager. I'm excited about that whole room. And, again, I thought those guys had a great spring under Coach Mono. Wide receiver-wise, you got the Sheriff, you got Austin Trammell, and he was healthy. And, gosh, his leadership to the plays he makes, he does so many things for the Rice Owls. To Bradley Rosner, it was great to see him. And then we've got August Pete, who is starting to – we still got to get to be more consistent, but you still see flashes of the brilliance that he can be. So, fun spring in that regard. And then going back to those big dudes up front, they really grew a lot this spring. I think that Clay Servin is playing at a really high level. I'm so optimistic that he's going to be able to play this way consistently throughout a season, and then everybody in America will know his name. The thing we have to remember is even though Clay started 4 games in 2018, he's only a redshirt sophomore now, so he's got 3 more years with the Rice Owls. So Clay was great. Shea Baker was great, although playing more right guard than center in the spring, but he did both. Cole Garcia was the guy who got the most reps at the left guard spot. Isaac Clarkowski at center, which what a great story. We know Clarky is, and it just continues. And then at the right tackle spot, we had Brant Peterson step up. In his years in the program and his growth throughout last year, we finally got to see it, and it was good in the spring. And Javon Wolford, we brought in. He started with us in January. He's a grad transfer from Colgate. He was really pushing at that position as well. One other guy I'd mention, just because when you see his strength and his confidence in knowing what to do, Isaiah Floyd moves people. And that's what we brought him over from the nose guard spot to do. So really excited with that group. I've had so much fun with them. Coach Davis, when listening to those guys every day on these Zoom calls, it's so much fun. So they're growing, and it's awesome to hear them teach some of the younger guys on the call now.
And on the defensive side of things, you've got a lot of veterans coming back, and with Coach Smith and the strides we saw last year, building on the first year. I mean, my goodness, where can you start on the defense, and where can fans be most hopeful, or is it kind of across the board? You're confident in the whole defense coming back?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of confidence in the whole defense, and it starts with Coach Smith. I mean, that's bringing our defense coordinator back for the third straight year and the entire defensive staff. I mean, wow, that's hard to do in the modern era of college football, and we're so proud to do it, and especially with the jump that they took last year, like you mentioned. But I think those guys just have a great plan in place. Coach Smith knows exactly what he needs to get out of that defense. And then you combine that with him challenging them to become better with their mastery of our defense. And now we got these Zoom calls to make sure we're getting better mastery-wise. But and then, yeah, you bring back 10 of 11 starters. You bring back 20 of 22 of the 2 deep. That's phenomenal. Those are fun things to say, man, we got this much experience back. And as you talk about experience, you got to start right there with the linebacker spot. With Blaze Aldridge. You know, he is the guy that I think should be up for national awards. He should be the defensive player of the year heading into the conference, and just had a phenomenal campaign in his junior year. And he told me something before we left the other day. He said, Coach, I want to play so good this year that everybody thinks I had a bad year last year. And I love it. I love the mindset. I love where he's at. Antonio Montero had a great spring as well. Gosh, he's, you know, sometimes gets overshadowed by Blaze, but it's that tandem. It's those two together that are so special, and they do a great job together. Then we had Garrett Grammer, who we all believe in. We know he's like our special teams ace, but when he's in there in base defense right now, he's doing a heck of a job as well. So good spring for the linebackers. The defensive line, you know, Coach Calhoun has those caged animals. Like, they are really rocking. And, you know, this spring I thought they played with great pad level. I thought they played with great tenacity. And they were missing Miles Adams, who was one of our graduating seniors, and also Trey Schumann, coming back from injury, did not participate in spring. So it allowed a lot of people to get more reps than they normally would have. And so that was good to see some of our young guys take some real steps. Obviously, we've talked a lot about DeBraylen. We know the consistency of Elijah Garcia when he's in there and how much football he's played for us. Javante Hubbard behind him and jumping in the mix, whether it's at the nose or the 3. And then the person who got the most reps with Trey Schumann missing was Ikenna Enichukwu. And Ikenna did a phenomenal job this spring. He's growing up, and he's another one just like Clay Servin, who is a redshirt sophomore. And it's like, holy cow, this guy's got a lot of football left in him. And on that great frame, it's really exciting. At the rush end spot, we had Kebron Page, who was getting some quality reps in there, and he was backing up KK Orgy. KK and KP both have grown so much in this system, and their comfort in it, their physicality in it. It was just fun to watch both those guys day in and day out. And so that's really talking about the front. And then the back end, really, those guys are doing a good job. They're doing a good job making everything difficult, and having those guys like Tyree Thornton healthy, like Trayshawn DeVones, who ended up playing as a true freshman last year, Andrew Bird, Jason White, those guys at the corner spot. That was so good. And then we will have Miles McCord coming back from injury as well. And then the safety spots, you know, that's where we feel so good about the experience we have in there. You know, starting with George Nyakwald. Like, George is the big bad wolf in the middle of the field. You know, he runs sideline to sideline. Prudy's getting more reps at that free safety spot. And then we come over to the Viper or the Sam linebacker, depending on how you look at it. And you got Trayshawn Chamberlain jumping in there and really doing a great job. So those guys have been all over the place and making play after play. And I can't forget about Naeem Smith. Naeem's playing the other safety spot. He's involved in everything. He's so physical. And, you know, it's one of those things where I can't wait to see his growth. Like, he and Blaze hit me up and they said, Coach, look, we went home for spring break and we don't have cleats. And so, you know, we were able to get permission from compliance and get them some cleats so they can go out and work in their backyard, because it was just driving Naeem and Blaze crazy not to be able to put on the cleats and run around somewhere.
Stay tuned. More coming up with Coach right after this. Reminder that this segment brought to us by Smart Financial Credit Union. Smart Financial's game plan is simple. People before profits. Whether it's saving for retirement, finding your favorite car, or buying your dream home, we can help. Text RICE to 276-278 to find out how. One more segment with Coach Bloom after this here on Rice Owls Insider.
From the slightest bend to complex motions, your body is made to move. At Houston Methodist Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, our teams are using advanced technology and imaging to develop custom treatment plans, and our minimally invasive procedures can help you heal faster. We have the expertise to keep you moving because every movement matters. Find the care you need at 20 locations throughout Houston. Houston Methodist, leading medicine.
The Wyndham Houston Medical Center Hotel and Suites is the preferred hotel for anybody visiting the Medical Center, the Museum District, or Rice University. We offer the largest suites in the Medical Center, complete with full kitchens, and our full-service restaurant and outdoor pool will make your stay complete. We look forward to having you experience the Wyndham Houston Medical Center Hotel and Suites soon. And if you need a group rate or need 10 or more rooms, don't forget to call 713-528-7744. That's 713-528-7744.
Big trip on the horizon? Before you depart, you gotta park. The Parking Spot is a simpler, easier way to navigate airport parking, and you can save when you book online. You're guaranteed a spot, and we even pick you up at your trunk in our yellow and black spotted shuttles and take you straight to the terminal. Parking and saving come full circle at the Parking Spot. The Parking Spot, proud sponsor of Rice University. Visit theparkingspot.com to reserve your spot today.
Beer needs baseball and baseball needs beer. Good thing Little Woodrow's has plenty of both. Right in the heart of Rice Village, relax over indoor and outdoor games, sports, and drink specials that even college students can't refuse. With weekly trivias, bingo nights, and fun events, there's always something to do at your favorite local watering hole. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram to stay updated on all our upcoming events and specials. Little Woodrow's, the official Rice Owls game day headquarters.
You're listening to Rice Owls Insider. Let's rejoin JP Heath.
And wrapping it up here, another fun edition of Rice Owls Insider with head football coach for Rice Owls, Mike Bloomgren. This whole interview is brought to us by our friends at Christian's Tailgate. You can check them out, 832-925-7922, 832-925-7922. That's the Westview location. A lot of good grub, some White Claw 6-packs, 4-pack single serves, domestic singles. I don't know what bourbon they have for you, Coach, but I know they could fix you up. But either way.
They always made it work for me, JP. They always took care of me.
All right, wrapping up with Coach Bloom, kind of off the field and out of the office, out of the Zoom rituals that he's been referencing. But what do you do to fill the time? I mean, you're a tech guy, but you like to have some fun too. So just what do you, Laura, the kids, what do y'all like to do to kind of pass some time?
Yeah, the best thing we're doing is, with both the kids doing homeschool, Ty's 13, and Presbyterian has him pretty much rocking on Zoom all day. But Parker, not so much. Like Parker's 11. He requires a little more mommy hands-on teacher time. So he's exhausted, but we're eating every meal together, and every day we're going on the loop around Rice, all 3.3 miles back to our house, and then getting the 100 push-up challenge done while we're doing that. So that's one of the things we're doing as a family. It's been really good. More building Legos, more basketball, more just anything with a ball that we can in the backyard right now.
Yeah, and I was stunned when you told me before we were just having chit-chat before we started recording here, you have not seen Tiger King yet, Coach.
Man, I'm going to fix that, though, JP. I'm going to fix that. My wife and I have talked about it.
No, any other Netflix, Hulu binges or like books or things you try to do?
We've been doing things educationally, like watching movies from our childhood with the kids and like basically making sure that they've seen them. Blindside was one that we made them watch last week. It was great from a football standpoint. We watched Major Leagues with them. I'm not sure that's age appropriate. That's probably not the best parenting on our part, but anyway, we're having a good time kind of teaching them about our past and, listening to more podcasts. There's so many great clinics out there. John Gordon did a positive summit last week that was awesome to listen to. There's so much great things available now, and many of them are free. So I think as much time and bandwidth as you have, you can really get better as a person, as a leader right now.
Yeah, I mean, you being such a leadership guru, is that you mentioned John Gordon, phenomenal in his field. Is that one, or what are some other podcasts you might like? Because
I love that one. I love Yogi Ross. Yogi Roth was a Pac-12 announcer when I was in the conference, and we became really good friends. He has a great one that gets people on anything from mindfulness to how to take next level performance steps. I think he's amazing. Our own Alex Brown, who you mentioned earlier, has started a podcast called Up Close in Personnel, and it's a great one to listen to because it's a great educational piece. It's a lot of the things we always want to tell recruits and their parents about the recruiting game. We were just trying to educate them on the process a little bit more. And he's bringing on some great people. He brought on the guy who runs recruiting at the University of Texas, who Alex and him worked together at the University of Houston. And this past one, he had Rice Al, James Casey on. And it was really good. It was actually awesome to hear James Casey's background stories I'd never heard before.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Coach, I miss you. Hopefully we'll be talking sooner than later. Great job so far. I can't wait that when and if that season does start, I can't wait to be calling it, and have a great rest of the offseason. Hopefully it's a quick return to action here.
Thanks so much, JP. Man, let's take care, man. Can't wait to see you in person, bud.
Yeah, thanks, Bloom. Appreciate it. Stay tuned. More coming up. I'll wrap up the show right after this on Rice House Insider.
What do you do when you need safe, reliable school transportation? You go Win. Win Transportation is one of the largest group transportation providers in Texas, a leader in charters, shuttles, and special events of all sizes. 5 people or 5,000. Win offers customizable school transportation with a wide range of motor coaches, minibuses, and vans. So, for safe, reliable school transportation, do like the Owls and go Win. Book at gowin.com. GOWYNNE.com.
Hey, Papa John's here. Who wants a boring sandwich when you can have our new Papadillas at Papa John's? 4 exciting flavors, just $6 each. You're going to love it. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's, Houston.
Christian's Tailgate Bar and Grill, voted Houston's best burger. Come by any of the 5 Houston area Christian's Tailgate locations and enjoy never frozen ground beef on a toasted bun with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, onions, and your choice of cheese. Your award-winning burger is then served with hand-cut fries or buttermilk battered onion rings. Each tailgate location is a large selection of draft beer and $3 shots. Come early for the game and stay late for karaoke. Christian's Tailgate Bar and Grill with 5 Houston area locations.
This refreshing message brought to you by Love Street Kolstyle Blonde. If you're in the mood for something new that's not really new and actually feels like it's been around the whole time, then take a trip down Love Street. This easy-drinking, anytime Kolstyle Blonde goes great with your favorite record and favorite people. It's a refreshing beer and a state of mind. But I'm just a voice on the radio. You should try it out for yourself. All you need is Love Street. Brewed with love in Houston, Texas at the Karbach Brewing Company.
At Smart Financial, we think your banking experience should feel like a home run. Since 1934, we have prided ourselves on providing hassle-free services with a game plan that focuses on people, not profits. If you live, work, or go to school at or around Rice University, text RICE to 276-278 to become a part of the winning team. That's RICE to 276-278. Smart Financial, proud sponsor of Rice Athletics, federally insured by the NCUA.
And wrapping up Rice Owls Insider, remember you can catch this on the video form or on the podcast form as well, Spotify, Apple, and enjoy, as Coach just kind of trailed off there. He was talking about his favorite podcast to listen to in the off season, so you can get this in a few different formats. We'll have head baseball coach Matt Braga coming up next week. This typical storefront, for lack of a better term. This property has been the Matt Braga Show, so what more appropriate than having Coach Braga on this replacement, so to speak, kind of running in tandem with what was going to be the Matt Braga Show during the spring from our friends at Christian's Tailgate, bringing us these Rice House Insiders here on the podcast in the video front. But you can listen to the show in a lot of different ways. And if you have any questions, we're going to have another episode with Joe Carlgard, athletic director, before we wrap everything up. But if you do have any questions that just come up, hey, I don't know this or that about Rice Owls athletics. On the ticketing side, obviously we're in the same boat. We don't know when everything will get back to normal, as Coach and I talked about a little bit there. But if you've got any questions, you can email the department, riceathletics@rice.edu. Appreciate Karbach Brewing as well. This segment brought to you by Karbach Brewing Company, proudly brewed in Houston, 2032 Karbach Street. Karbach, it's crafted for serious fun. We can't thank all of our sponsors enough here during this time of the COVID-19. Please be safe out there, socially distant, probably preaching to the choir, a lot of you smart Rice folks, but wash your hands, be socially distant, and we will get through this together. Well, that does it for another fun edition of Rice Owls Insider. Have a great rest of this day or night, depending on where you're listening to it. God bless, go Owls, and we'll talk to you again soon here at Rice Owls Insider.
On the Rice Sports Network from Learfield IMG College, you've been listening to Rice Owls Insider. Today's show was presented by Christian's Tailgate, voted best burger in Houston. Karbach Brewing Company, crafted for serious fun. IBEW Local Union number 716. And by Houston Methodist, leading medicine. The preceding has been a Learfield IMG College presentation on the Rice Sports Network.